Hello folks, Reverend Crystal Cox here, bringing back Goddess Church, Port Townsend, Washington. Today we're going to talk about the Michael Allman case. Today is March 28th, 2021. Michael's dog was taken by the City of Port Townsend November 23rd, 2020. They still have his dog. Watch these videos, read the evidence, and decide for yourself if all of the laws were applied correctly. Many people have said that that my blog, michaelandmoses.blogspot.com, is presenting one perspective. The Center Valley Animal Rescue thread alone had 250 comments. Okay, there is documents of evidence, there is incident reports, there is videos and PDFs of other people's words. There's laws posted. You decide what you believe. It's certainly not a page of one perspective. I am creating a timeline. I'm creating a document for later evidence. I intend, as a private citizen concerned, I've done it many times as an investigative blogger, to file bar complaints against the attorneys involved, to file criminal complaints for things such as malicious prosecution, unclean hands, painting in false light, theft, consumer rights laws, discrimination laws, harassment laws, against all of these parties. And who am I that can do it? Well, you can do it. Anyone can file a criminal complaint. Anyone can file a complaint with the Secretary of State, complaints against nonprofits, complaints against governments, complaints against private citizens. How do you file a complaint against the county prosecutor? I've done that before, against judges. And so right now we're in the evidence gathering stage. So the blog is a spot for me to gather evidence. That is probably only going to be about 20% of the evidence that will be gathered and submitted when I do submit a criminal complaint. And the reason I'm doing this is to show how just because hundreds of locals, prominent people say something, the county says something, the cops say something, the Humane Society says something, a bunch of wealthy people say something, and one homeless man says that something different, doesn't mean that he's not telling the truth and they're not maliciously lying. So you guys decide. Okay, you decide if Moses was taken properly and all the laws were filed, no problem. Just remember, as you go along, everything that happened in this case will be transparent, it will be of record, and it will be a precedent for every dog that enters Jefferson County. Whether it's with a homeless person, a housed person, someone in a camper, a tourist just camping for the weekend. Dogs are loose all the time. I seen 2 yesterday. So this is malicious prosecution, malicious discrimination, and intent to steal this dog with malicious intent proven by the Center Valley Animal Rescue thread, including an animal rights attorney and a nonprofit. So you decide if everything's good. So what we're going to read right now is the original, well, not original. We're going to read the document that the Humane Society of Jefferson County signed that released Michael Allman's private property, his dog, his animal at large, to Center Valley Animal Rescue. Wasn't even 24 hours later. Were any hold laws violated? Were any animal stray logs violated? They said he had a history, but the history they claim he had was unadjudicated. He was never convicted of anything. And the hearsay is not actually history that they can use against him to steal his property. And they've had it for 4 months. Can they? If they can, no problem. Just remember, it applies to you too. Because this will be the most transparent case of someone taking any sort of personal property from a homeless person that Jefferson County has ever seen. I'm gathering more and more documents every day. If you have any documents in this case, email me at reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com. Okay, so Jefferson County Humane Society, 11/24/20. Keep in mind, Moses went missing the night of 11/23. By noon on 11/24, Michelle Sanchez, as I posted on the blog. And email me at reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com if you don't have any of these parts and pieces. Anyway, she posted right around noon, it was like 12:01 or something, 12:07, the very next day, which was this day, that Moses was at Center Valley Animal Rescue and that she had called the Jefferson County Humane Society and got information. Information they did not give the owner. Was that lawful? Okay. So it's regarding Moses. They give his number, call him a husky. He's a wolf hybrid. They later changed that. So it says, based on history and physical exam findings, it is recommended that Moses be transferred immediately to Center Valley Animal Rescue or a full-service veterinary facility for diagnostic and appropriate 24-hour medical care and treatment. The HSJC shelter is not currently equipped to provide the support needed for him at this time. Okay, so if this was your dog, would you want to know, would you have a right to choose the vet it goes to or to know the issue? Now keep in mind, there was some bacteria, there was some fungus, there was an ear issue, and there was some skin issues. The dog needed a vet, okay? Keep in mind, Prosecutor Kennedy had said a couple years ago, and I'll show you other information on this, that if someone is homeless, then the economic factor is an affirmative defense, and they cannot prosecute him for second-degree criminal charges. So they really knew they couldn't prosecute him. They just wanted the dog, and so they got the dog, I'm alleging, and then put a lien on the dog so that the owner couldn't get it. So they used vigilante justice, and they're using your tax dollars and your courts to do it. Okay, so it says, or a full-service veterinary facility. Okay, so why did it go to Center Valley Animal Rescue? Because they had the dog before, right? But it was an accident before, and Moses should never have went there, right? We seen in the July 9th, 2019 Leader article talking about different codes that CVAR is not an animal hospital. So, and there was another vet open. So I allege that they could be sued, the county, all these people involved, and Center Valley Animal Rescue for treating the dog. What the dog has now with skin problems and all these issues, maybe it was created from Center Valley Animal Rescue. So Michael's dog, I'm now alleging, had an accident and issues came up. They didn't take it to a licensed hospital. Center Valley Animal Rescue treated Moses. Did they treat him right? Maybe they treated him wrong. Because why did he have these issues after they treated him? They said, oh, it was long-term issues. It was issues from an accident, right? And if it was long-term issues, why didn't they prove it then and make their criminal case then? But now they're calling it a history. So they say based on history and physical exam findings. So what's the history they're going by? What Center Valley Animal Rescue said before? So when they're saying to transfer to Center Valley Animal Rescue or a full-service vet, is that just to cover their own butts here? I mean, what's going on? You guys decide. If everything was done right in this case as a matter of law, it applies to every single one of you. I know for a fact that the county does not treat everybody equally. I see dogs at large all the time. I've reported dogs biting people downtown. Nothing. I've been nipped and chased by dogs. Nothing. So it's against this one man, which would be hard to believe. Don't believe it if you don't want. But check out michaelandmoses.blogspot.com. Scroll down. It's not just my perspective. Discern. Think for yourself. If you don't think he was discriminated against, well then, there you go. Remember when it happens to your dog or someone you care about. Okay, so then down here we have emails between Wendy Davis and the shelter, Paul Becker. Okay, Wendy, the shelter veterinarian has examined the dog and feels that he should be taken to a clinic that can provide more care than we are able to do at the shelter. Either of the veterinarian clinics or CVAR would be able to provide a complete examination and treatment at PTP. So it's at the discretion of the police, right? So the shelter is referring it back Tuesday. So 2 p.m. on November 24th, the shelter is, through Paul Becker, is referring this to the discretion of the Port Townsend Police Department, Wendy Davis. So she picked Center Valley Animal Rescue, right? So was there any conflict of interest there? I say there definitely was, because I have proven to all you folks that they had a 250 comment thread of which they had intent to place a lien to steal his property. They followed through with the intent, and they were enabled by this police officer who I allege conspired criminally and civilly against this man. And again, I allege it. It seems pretty obvious to me. So the Humane Society is kind of covering their own stuff here, and they're saying, oh, you know, either one of the vets or CVAR. Well, we know it's going to be CVAR because they all got this huge vendetta against this guy, and they had intent. Why not take it to one of the other vets? And when Moses had an accident, who's liable? The county should be liable, right? Think about this angle, just as a perspective. So Moses gets hurt. They take it to an illegal animal hospital, of which wasn't licensed to be an animal hospital, according to the Port Townsend Leader article, and they stated their sources. So this vet harms your dog, and 2 years later they blame you for that harm or that condition. I mean, just think about it if that was the case. It wasn't taken to an animal hospital that was licensed. It wasn't taken to a vet that was open that was licensed. It was taken to this place. An error. Or maybe it was an emotional thing by the police officer. Maybe Moses was so hurt that the police officer panicked, didn't know where to take it. But why give it back to them now? Okay? And so now we're painting a picture here now that says, okay, so who released the dog to CVAR? Center Valley Animal Rescue. Well, if the Humane Society is directing it back to Wendy Davis, the officer involved, then she picked CVAR, right? Now, I want to note here, okay, Tuesday, November 23rd at 2 p.m. Remember the thread? Remember I showed you the clip where private citizen Michelle Sanchez posted at noon on the 24th, the same day, that the dog was found and that she called the Humane Society, was given information on someone else's dog. Okay? The Humane Society, I think, should be sued for that, I allege. And Moses was at CVAR. That's what she posted by noon. So was all these emails just done later just to cover everybody's butts here? How did the private citizen know that Moses was at Center Valley Animal Rescue at noon, as we see in the clip? Again, michaelandmoses.blogspot.com for that. Right? So they're talking about releasing the dog and which vet he's going to go to. But yet, private citizen Michelle Sanchez is posting that Moses is already at Center Valley Animal Rescue. And keep in mind, this man's dog, his personal private property, went missing the night before. So the evening, you know, he'd went out of town shopping for a few hours for supplies, comes back, someone let the dog off the lead, we're alleging, and it's... I definitely believe it with what I've seen with all of these people lynch mobbing, actually stalking him, threatening to drag him behind cars, even on the Center Valley Animal Rescue site. They have no problem with that, but they delete his whole side of the story. They went and hunted him down in person, circled him. They would let his dog out of his vehicle when he was at Safeway. They've been trying to do this for a long time, to maliciously save and rescue this dog and torment and harass this man. Okay? So we are at 2 p.m. Again, I want to point the timeline. Moses went missing the night before. By 2 p.m. the next day, there's this correspondence, right? But Moses is already at CVAR from the other sources. Okay, so at 1:48, see, I feel like that there was, that they were conspiring. I feel like that they had a phone call and said, well, let's create an email record, I allege, because Moses is already at CVAR. They already picked it. They're like, oh, act like we can pick a couple other vets too and you know, make it look like there's others in the mix. When, no way. This already has a clear malicious intent history, which I've already showed you, intent to place a lien. I mean, decide for yourself, but the evidence is pretty clear to me. Okay, so from Wendy Davis, the City of Port Townsend officer that was involved in this case, to the shelter regarding Moses, No, I will do that, but I'm hoping for a reply or response from Mr. Becker before I call. Okay, so let's start this thread at the bottom. Yeah. Okay. So, when did these, Okay, so that's at 1:40 p.m. And then, I guess this one doesn't have a time. Maybe the time got cut off here. Okay. Okay, so the first one doesn't seem to have a time on it. So it says, it's copied Jason Greenspan, the City of Port Townsend. It's copied Garn Williams, City of Port Townsend. Okay, Mr. Becker, thank you for talking with me just now about Moses. So they talked on the phone. As discussed, due to Moses needing urgent veterinarian care. Is that true? I mean, as a matter, is Wendy, is she a vet? So was Moses in an emergency situation? If so, why didn't he go to an animal hospital? If he had skin conditions and ear infection and the things that they list, was that urgent veterinarian care? And was that a reason to keep his owner away from him for 4 months? Okay, so needing urgent care that the Humane Society of Jefferson County is unable to provide at this time. Also, at the suggestion of your veterinarian, that further workup is needed to determine welfare. Okay, so they're going for the statute. So is it legal? This is just for you to think about. For the officer involved to talk to the Humane Society about the criminal charges moving forward and the removal of the animal. This is an animal at large, okay, folks. We don't have 24 hours. This is early afternoon, the day after Moses was gone. They clearly prejudiced him from the prior case. Keep in mind, it's a criminal case, and when you prejudice someone as a matter of law, you're using evidence from a prior case to commit someone in a current case, and it's not lawful the way that I understand it. And I have seen these thousands of times, not this exact thing, and I never had the perspective of the homeless. So this is that part's new. Okay. So it says removal of animals for feeding and care. Port Townsend Police Department may authorize Moses to be examined by a qualified veterinarian office or Center Valley Animal Rescue as deemed necessary by us. Okay. A qualified veteran or Center Valley Animal Rescue. If Center Valley Animal Rescue is not a qualified veterinarian, and they took this man's property, his dog, to them, they are, in my opinion, liable for anything going on with Moses because they're not a qualified vet. They took this man's dog because he didn't have the money. He's criminal. He neglected the dog. He abused the dog. He's not qualified to take care of the dog. And then they take it to a vet that wasn't qualified to take care of the dog. Is that the deal? By a qualified veterinarian office or Center Valley Animal Rescue as deemed necessary by us. Who's us? It seems to me that Officer Wendy Davis made the decision. And did this Garn Williams and Jason Greenspan, who really made this decision and was it lawful? You decide. Also, when available, will the shelter please provide Port Townsend Police Department with the on-site veterinary notes by reply to this email address? Okay. So then, this one here is 1:40. So then all the emails came in after. Okay, so Mr. Becker, as discussed, okay, so that is the one we read. Okay, so that was at 1:40. Okay, so then the next one they did was at 2. And this is the one I read above. Let's just make sure. Wendy, the shelter veterinarian has examined the dog and feels that he should be taken to a clinic that can provide more care than we are able to do at the shelter. Oh, so it was urgent care that she was saying, but a clinic, so that means like a checkup, right? It's not an emergency. It's not like, oh my gosh, he's so neglected, he's going to die, we got to keep him for 4 months. There's some suspicious stuff here, folks. You decide what's good, and if it's good for him, it's good for all of you. Okay, either of the veterinarian clinics or CVAR would be able to provide a complete examination and treatment at the Port Townsend Police Department's discretion. Why does the Port Townsend Police Department get to decide where the dog goes. And do they have contracts with all of these people? Okay. Why don't they have to take the dog to a licensed vet? Why can they take it to a local nonprofit and have no liability? You guys get to decide. Okay, so, they're your tax dollars. They're your voted in politicians. They're your people. So when I say you get to decide, you might think, well, no, the courts are going to decide. Well, I kind of say baloney to that, because the courts decide. He wasn't found guilty of any of it before. This is the public that's deciding. The public decided he was guilty. The public ganged up on him, and they used the police department to do it. So you guys decide what you think happened here. Okay, so that was at 2 o'clock. Right, and then that's the letter. Okay, so you guys decide, what's going on here. So November 24th, 2020, they turned the dog over to Center Valley Animal Rescue. All this happened not even in 24 hours, right? So did they have stray hold laws that they should have adhered to? Should they have went to a regular vet? Was it really urgent care? Should they have went to an emergency hospital? And if they keep bringing in the prior case, well, if Moses has a medical problem from an accident, then why can't we blame Center Valley Animal Rescue and the Jefferson County Police Department? At that time, it was county. They took him to CVAR. If they didn't provide the right care, maybe the reason Moses has these issues is because they screwed up. Right? Oh, we can't say that because there's no facts. No, but we can say that the guy drug his dog and vilify him and stalk him in person and threaten to kill him and all of the sick stuff they said all over the Center Valley Animal Rescue site. That's no problem. But when we question the other side, then they're going to sue me for slander and I'm the bad guy. It's a classic, get rid of the messenger so we can silence the message. Folks, I'm just showing you what's here. You decide for yourself if this is all something that you think is honorable and lawful in Jefferson County, Port Townsend, Washington. Email me at reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com if you want a copy of any of these documents. At some point, as I said, I will be gathering all of this evidence and putting it in a criminal complaint with consumer theft of the dog, consumer complaints, unclean hands, malicious prosecution, abusive process, selective prosecution, harassment, discrimination. There's a lot of laws. Plus, he had an affirmative defense, which the county already knew. So they deliberately and maliciously went after this man. And so once I get all of these documents, plus emails between all parties and phone records between all parties, I'm going to paint a picture of just how the Port Townsend and the Jefferson County government system works to discriminate against this homeless man, to show you any target that they have. This is how the system works. Okay? And I hope to give a voice to the homeless and equality from those who live in houses and those who don't. And to show you that, again, like I said, if there's someone they want to maliciously prosecute, they'll do it. And it's hard to believe when you have an established nonprofit for, what have they been here since the 80s? They're, a very well-established nonprofit. And you have police that have been here forever. You have prominent people, as they call them, so wealthy people. You have taxpayers. You have all of these people, hundreds of them, saying something, and you're like, yeah, this homeless man, he can't be telling the truth. They have to be, right? But they're not. And if you think they are and they acted lawful, well, then, like I said, you're next, or someone close to you's next. If it all happened as a matter of law, I'm putting it all here for you guys to decide. God bless you all. Have a beautiful day.